great to have the chance to talk to you. How are you? How was your weekend? Did you stay up all night and watch the Oscars?
I caught a little bit of it, but I knew I had my interview today, so I tried to get to bed at a good time. I'm quite the night owl, so I'm not great at that.
Okay, okay, very disciplined. I'm very impressed already. Well, listen, so much to talk about. My goodness, you're an actor, you're a dancer, you're a writer. I mean, is there anything that you cannot do, Lilah Fitzgerald?
I can't ride horses. I'm terrified of horses. So I'll give you.
Ah, okay, so we know that you do not, when you get scripts, that you have to be a horse trainer. That's just not in your cards.
I gotta really fake it for that.
I'm sure you could pull it off. I'm sure you could pull it off. Well, listen, let's just, oh God, like I said, so much to start with. Let's start with Lucky Hank because what an opportunity, my goodness, to work with Bob Odenkirk. I mean, what was your reaction initially when you got the script, when you kind of found out all about this and then found out like he's the man? Wow.
Well, my initial reaction to the audition breakdown was, oh, it's Bob Odenkirk. I'm not gonna book that. Of course, I think, all actors kind of have a lot of self-doubt. And
Sure.
honestly, I think that's technically a good thing because, I'll never get too big for my britches because I never believe in that I've made it.
Yeah, but you're
Um,
also Canadian, so I know you wouldn't go there anyway.
there is that. It's the Canadian aspect. But showing up to set and actually working with him, my mind
Yeah.
went blank when he walked in the room. Immediately, I've never really been as starstruck. I think because I started so young,
Yeah.
um, and had the opportunity to work with big names. When I was a little girl, the reality of it didn't really hit me as
Of
much.
course not.
And so then
Yeah.
growing up in it, I was like, oh, I've done this before. But for some reason with this one, you know, it was a huge opportunity. It's an amazing show. It premiered at South by Southwest, but the
Yeah.
true premiere isn't until March 19th, which I'm
Yeah,
so
very soon, this coming weekend. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
excited for the whole world to see it.
Yeah.
But just the script and all the actors and especially Bob Odenkirk, I was starstruck.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. And like, were you a fan of, I don't know, well, Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad? Like, did you watch?
Absolutely. I mean, he's definitely one of the actors that I aspire to be like because his acting is so human. It
Yeah,
doesn't even feel like he's acting. He's just a real person saying words and we get to watch.
yeah.
Um, and I feel like the same thing definitely translated for Lucky Hank.
Yeah, I mean, not to even mention all of his early stuff that he's done. I mean, the guy's a genius, like A, B, hilarious. But as you say, brings that human element to everything and makes it so relatable. So yes, one minute you're laughing your head off, and the next minute you're like, that's pretty serious. Like you can pull it right off. So for people who aren't sure, like who aren't familiar, just give us a little synopsis of Lucky Hank and what we can expect from that show.
So Lucky Hank, I don't want to give too much away.
No, no.
But Lucky Hank follows Hank, who is a professor
Mhm.
at this small, underfunded university, as he sort of goes through a midlife crisis because he, had expectations for life, obviously,
Yeah.
and those expectations that we all have for life never really pan out. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. And so we just sort of follow his journey and the journey of the people around him as they sort of figure out life and what to do with the life they have.
Right. And you play a student at the school, correct?
Yes.
That must have been fun.
That was so fun. It was really fun because as an actor, I don't have time to actually go to university.
Mhm.
So being university age and like pretending I'm going to college definitely is pretty fun. I've been homeschooled my whole life, so I got to
Right.
do that every time I played someone going to school. I was like, this is new and interesting. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
Um, and just getting to explore her character. She's a very fun character. Again, can't give too much away,
All
but
good.
she has some ulterior motives that I found quite hilarious.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Lila, because growing up, obviously, you've worked since you were so young, and if you have been in so many great things. Balance, like you said, you were homeschooled, but clearly, I mean, you didn't get, other than being on sets, you didn't get to spend a lot of time with kids your own age or whatever. So how did you manage to balance that to be able to be a regular kid but also be that actor.
I mean, I was lucky, my mom actually teaches online, so she's always been very involved in the homeschooling community, so I was
Right.
friends with other people in my community who were homeschoolers. I also do a lot of dance, so as soon as I really got into ballet, that's,
Sure.
built-in bullying, but also built-in friend groups.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and really, I think the main thing for me was I never wanted to be a normal kid. I never had the, "Oh, I wanna go to school. Oh, I just wanna be normal." I was always looking at, "I want to be something great."
Right. Right. And then, well, you're getting there. I have to say, there's no question. But then you start acting, and then of course you incorporating your dancing. Well, let's just talk Monster High. I mean, oh my God. I got to interview some of the cast members of that when the first one came out. It's so much fun. But then you get to incorporate like playing Gulia. I mean, come on, so much fun, really, right? But then you get to incorporate that dance in there. So that must have been amazing to play that role.
It was so fun. I think what was really funny for me about it is I'm a super bunhead ballerina, and that is not commercial dance at all.
No,
So it was
no.
another whole learning curve for me to take my technique that I have and put it in a more hip hop movement and feeling. And luckily I was able to do that. Especially with the help. We have amazing choreographers,
Yeah.
and it definitely helped having a dance background, but I like that it was still a challenge for me, and it was still a new thing for me to take on and tackle.
Yeah. And I was going to ask in terms of doing that, now there's going to be another one, correct? Are
Yes.
are we going to be like stepping up a little bit more of Julia in this one?
We're definitely stepping everything up. I don't wanna get fired, so I'm not
No,
saying
you're
it.
not gonna, don't worry. I'm not asking for secrets, but it's very exciting because clearly, listen, you were just at with the Kids' Choice Awards. I mean, it's a big deal, this Monster High. People grew up with it, and now it's, on Paramount Plus, and it's pretty cool, like to be able to kind of take a character that's so well known and that kids love and bring her to life.
Exactly, especially I grew up playing with Gulia. She was my
Right.
favorite Monster High doll, so, getting to be in the first one, and now we just finished filming for the second one,
Yeah.
and getting to do it, the first time it was sort of just a rush. It was like, "Oh my gosh, I get to play Gulia. This is insane. This is, what 8-year-old me got into acting to do."
Yeah.
And then doing it the second time, getting, a little more sunk into it, knowing what I bring to the character, knowing how it went the first time, knowing that everyone on set is so supportive and kind and just, a real family,
Yeah.
was even more special.
Yeah, yeah, I can just imagine. Okay, and then as if that's not enough, you have a book coming in, like a young adult. It's called Stars and Swashbucklers. Okay, where does this one come from in that brain of yours?
I mean, I've always wanted to tell stories. And I think that's really what drew me to acting and dance. It's the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah,
And so growing up as a kid, I would always start writing books and be like, I have a great story idea. And I'd tell someone about it. And then the story was told and it didn't need to be told anymore.
right.
So when I had the dream that inspired Stars and Swashbucklers, it's set in this futuristic fantasy world. Earth has shattered. Pirates sail between the stars like we sail the ocean right now. It's this very fantastical space opera vibe, and it was so real and visual in the dream that it felt like a real life that I wanted to live. And I
Yeah,
kept thinking, I wish I could read a book based on that dream.
yeah,
And so for myself, I just started writing it just as my escape from how hard the pressures of being in dance and acting are. I never really intended to do anything with it. It was
yeah,
my escape from real life and escape from the publishing and proving myself and all of that stuff. So I was like, I don't need to worry about doing anything with this. It doesn't matter if it turns into a book. It doesn't matter if it's cohesive. It's fine. But then
mm,
I finished writing it and I was like, wait, I wrote an actual book. I can't just not do anything with this now. And
yeah.
here I am.
And here you are. My God, how exciting! Like, are you doing a book tour? Like, are you getting all prepped for all that?
Yeah, I'm hoping to do a book tour. I'm starting off with a live launch at Chevalier's Books in Los Angeles. It's on
Nice.
April 4th. So
Okay.
that'll be really, really exciting. I'm gonna just chat a little bit about the book, do a little reading, do a signing, hopefully have lots of people interested in hearing about Stars and Swashbucklers.
Well, hopefully it'll bring you to Toronto at some point. That would be great.
I would definitely, I mean, as a Canadian, I'd definitely love to do a little Canada book tour.
Yes, yes, we've got to put that in your schedule for sure. So I got to ask you just before we wrap. I mean, like we said earlier, you have worked with so many great people over the years. Like, let's just name a few of them. Okay, I've got the list here: Julianne Moore, Alicia Vikander, Jeff Bridges, James Franco, Rachel McAdams, of course, Bob Odenkirk. Looking back at that, who do you think? I know it's kind of an unfair question, but did you learn the most from? Like that you just was, you were really watching. I know you were young for some of them, but maybe just something that you took with you to other jobs.
I think the person I definitely learned the most from is Wim Wenders, director of Everything Will Be Fine, and
Oh, yes,
huge
yes.
filmmaker. His film Pina inspired my love of dance, and just on set, he was not only professional, he was a gentleman, and he was kind, and he was an artist.
Mm.
And watching his vision play out and watching him work and still, be kind, even though he is this hugely established name, one of the best creators in his field, and still humble and kind, definitely is something that I really aspire to and really look up to.
That's amazing. I always love hearing that, especially when you are working with a big filmmaker, like director like that. I mean, most of all those people I've mentioned too, they're all really nice people too. I've interviewed every single one of them and they're just like Jeff Bridges. I mean, come on, right?
I mean, it was hilarious. I loved Jeff Bridges was so funny because they set up a separate tent for him so he wouldn't have to sit with all of us. And
And
he immediately just came into our green room and he was like, I want to chat with you.
of course, yeah, I know. It's always like assumed, but then those people are like, don't treat me any different. I'm acting with, yeah, I love those stories because it just makes people so real. And really, we're all just doing a job, but if, yeah, that's basically all it is. So I'm so happy to hear that. Well, listen, congratulations to you with all your success. I'm so excited to dig into Lucky Hank because I'm a huge Odenkirk fan and I'm sure you're amazing in it. So I'm gonna my PVR is already set, so I'm looking forward to that. And thank you so much for your time today, Lilah. I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we'll catch up when I'm for Monster High too. We'll talk again.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really grateful. And it was so nice to chat with you.
Yeah, you too. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You too.
Okay, bye, Lilah.